Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we are talking about the Bands of Mourning, chapters 5, 6, and 7, wherein, there's a nice peaceful train ride going on. Wax and Steris have some heart-to-heart talks, and then they're, because it's Wax, the train gets invaded by bandits, and we end with Steris going off the edge. So very dramatic. I am Data, and with me is
Jamie,
Dak,
and Joe.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Revolution holds us bound. Come on down to London town. Break your back for class and crown. Come on down to London town. Steam train running on a reckless rail. Speeding right into the rising gale. Shovel harder 'cause we're on your tail. London's bloody cry.
So yeah, we got 3 chapters. We got a lot of talking and a little bit of action to go with it. What did you guys think of the 3 chapters this time?
Yeah, it was not too bad. I wasn't expecting to get any action, so that was a nice surprise to happen at the end there. I really enjoyed, as usual, Steris, and I was really excited when she sort of had a bit of an opportunity to do something, but then I was very sad at what happened at the end. So I hope she's okay. I actually thought Marisai and Wayne were having like a half decent conversation as well, which was nice. And then Wayne just is classic Wayne doing his thing, which I was like, there he is again. Fine. But yeah, in general, I really enjoyed them. I'm glad that we got a little bit of action happening, bit of mystery already, and kind of looking at what we've dealt with in the past. And you're like, is it someone we've already kind of come up with? Is it closely related to the suit? Or Mr. Suit, or the set, rather. Yeah, the mystery wheels are spinning, that's for sure.
I like you're like, I hope Steris is okay, and I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, falling from a train. That's nothing, right?
Yeah, well, we are dealing with a world that you swallow some metal and magic things happen. So
True.
I mean, you never know. But speaking of metal, I actually loved the bit where Steris had a sample, but she'd suspended the metal flakes in, was it castor oil?
Cod liver oil, yeah.
Cod liver oil. Yeah, I was like, oh, it's like Aradel and his wife with the banana.
It's true.
Wives, am I right? We're so disappointing.
Gotta look out for your health.
Yeah. I was about to say, how dare you care for your husband so?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just a shock. What is this? This is not whiskey.
And she had not just 1, but like 3. So you're like, Steris, already MVP of this fight.
Yeah, you knew Steris was the one that was going to be prepared. That's what I mean. She would not have gotten on the top of that train car if she hadn't already accounted for the possibility that she would have fallen off. So
she
she's
has
got
a
to be
parachute
okay.
in her skirt or something.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past her.
Pillows in her skirt, yeah.
Yeah. Also, like the 3 boxings that she couldn't account for, I totally understand that need to fix that, even though it's a very small error, to have to track those down. I get that. That speaks to me. I think Steris and I are a lot more alike than I was willing to admit.
I like how into it Wax got even. Like by the end, he's like, yeah, I'm really excited
That
about
was
this.
sweet. And he's like, I found 2 of them. I found 2. It's like a game.
Yeah, Marisai's just so annoyed at that point. She's like, okay, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, whatever. Weird bunch of weirdos in here.
I'm going to let you guys do this. And I'll talk to you later.
Oh, yeah. There's some definite cute Steris Wax relationship moments in here, I feel like.
Yeah, which I think we were looking forward to in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think seeing Wax getting really into what Steris was really into, and them having a good old time figuring that out was actually just very unexpected, but very sweet. I really enjoyed that. The action scene, fantastic. Really loved it. Also hope Steris is okay. I gotta say, like, I think for the second time, something was spoiled a bit because of an email that came through, or actually, no, it was a review last week, I think, because we have the point where Wax loses all his medals, and it's like, well, we just had the review where that guy was talking about chromium and leaching, so that's got to be what that was. So,
Oh, I didn't even think about that because, I guess, because I looked it up to make sure that it had been mentioned before. Like, we could have read it. I don't know that we did read it, but we could have, and that's why I was like, okay, let's talk about it.
I think it's been in the Ars Arcanums, but we never really dwelt too much on it.
Yeah.
So we knew it was a possibility, but I'm just like, if it hadn't been for the review last week, I probably would have forgotten about it completely. But because it was fresh on my mind when I read the chapter, I was like, oh, well, that's what that is.
The timing, really. Unless that's not what it is. Just saying.
But it is.
Yeah, like what are you talking about? I think Data's been hitting the sauce again.
Good try, Data.
But there was like fun stuff on this all throughout these chapters, and I'm curious about when Marasai is reading this thing about the monster. I'm like, is that the thing from the broadsheet in the last book, like that weird beast thingy with like the red eyes and such? Like, have the Kandra seen this thing too? Is this like from another? Is this actually legitimately from another world? So as I recall, the person who wrote that story in the broadsheet, or the person who encountered the monster in the broadsheet, was from New Saran, so maybe that's going to be upcoming.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes. Maybe there'll be actual monsters in this book, which would fit the Indiana Jones theme we were kind of hoping for.
We kind of had monsters last book, like the weird hemalurgic human.
Yeah, it's just
things.
setting us up. I mean,
It's a very Uncharted moment.
Didn't Miles say like the men of red and black? And like, well, all right, this monster is red and black. Maybe man was a loose term.
The things of red and gold. That doesn't sound as
gold.
These chapters were good. I enjoyed all of the Steris Wax moments a lot. The Marasai Wayne bits also good. I feel like Marasai and Wayne both made good points about how Marasai feels about things. You know, it's like I could see it from her perspective, but I think I tended to kind of agree with Wayne a little bit more than her. But then, you know, Wayne does his Wayne thing, which is not great. But for the most part, yeah, I really enjoyed all the dialogue scenes. But I have to say I lean more towards dialogue chapters in general. I do like action in this series, but the dialogue is actually interesting because there's a lot of character development going on. Whereas, say, like the dialogue heavy book of The Well of Ascension, a lot of that dialogue I wasn't too thrilled about because it's just kind of politicking. So yeah, I really like all the dialogue scenes in this series so far. So I'd say those were good chapters. The action chapter was unexpected. I really liked the cliffhanger at the end of the second chapter that we read this time, where the train is very. Again, we talk about this book being this series especially being very cinematic. It's a very cinematic moment. Like she walks and she turns around and then like the train is slowly like she sees the train pulling away from them. And it's just like, wait, what's happening? It's just a cool idea, a cool shot. So that was really cool. I'm very confused about these guys on horseback taking over the train. So I'd be interested to know what that's about for sure. I'm more interested in that than actually the fighting in the chapter. I'd say that was, meh. And yeah, Steris coming out with the shotgun, which I know the shotgun was brand new. So, she would have had time to get herself acquainted with its power. But at the same time, it's like, unless she was prepared to fall off the train, I don't know why she picked up the shotgun to fire it. Even if it was a regular shotgun, I don't know if she would like be prepared enough to fire something with that kind of recoil on it. So I don't know. Interesting stuff. I'm excited to read the next chapter, see what happens. But yeah, I liked it overall.
Yeah, even just like a 12 gauge has a lot of kick. Not like send you flying off the side of a train kick, but still.
No, but if you're on the top of a moving train, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a wise choice for an inexperienced shooter to try and shoot a shotgun. That sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
Although it's funny because I'd forgotten until you mentioned it, but some in the Discord, they're like, man, I bet Dak's really going to love this Old West horseback train robbery stuff that's happening in these upcoming chapters. So
Discord people, you were right on the money. Say that without
Yeah, I
reservation.
actually, when I was reading it, I thought the same thing. I was like, I bet Dak will like this. It's train robbery. It's like real Old West type shit.
Had a blast.
so did Steris.
Hey-o. I will say I forgot to mention the bit where he increased his weight and he shoves the train car forward. That was just
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
I will say, as soon as I read that the train was pulling away, and then in the next chapter the fight starts, I was like, I bet that's what he's going to do. Because I mean, that's
Yeah.
that kind of predicament is perfectly suited for Wax. It's like just increase his weight and push it.
Yep. Yeah. There's no other way that I can think of they could ever have gotten anywhere. So it works out well. Yeah, that Wax is suited for that. They'd just be stuck out there in the middle of the basin.
Yeah, could you imagine if the story, if it was someone who did not have that ability, and then it's like, oh, well, we're stuck now. Dun, dun, dun. That's not a fun story.
We're gonna have to walk. Yeah, the whole book is just gonna be them walking. It'd basically be the gunslinger actually at that point.
Yeah, basically.
Wax is the gunslinger, although he has
Yeah.
a posse with him, so I guess it'd be a little bit different.
Sure.
People
You know what
talk
else
to.
has a lot of walking in the middle of nowhere? Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, yeah, there you go. I heard it from Randall. You know that it must be right.
Jesus.
Yeah, I hear that guy's gonna have a heart attack.
That's a reference to the trailer for Clerks 3, in case anyone was not following what just happened.
Yeah, go see the movie if you want to see it, I guess. By the way,
I'm
this
still on the fence.
podcast is not sponsored by Clerks 3.
Could be. Kevin, if you're
Yeah,
out
we
there.
don't. Yeah, we don't care. I mean, we'll do it.
Okay, I guess let's get into these chapters. Oh gosh. So we start out with Wax just looking out the window. Stuff's passing by. He's got his package from Renette, which has spheres and cords, which I guess are like what he got from her last book, except last book it was kind of just like a grappling hook attached to a cord. But there's also a shotgun that says she's been experimenting with extra powerful loads for stopping thugs or full-blooded Koloss. Please test. Will require increased weight on your part to fire. Recoil should be exceptional. So it's funny. She has this idea, and it's like this will only work for someone like Wax who can increase his weight.
Yeah, or I guess somebody in like a really powerful vest or something, like strong. I don't know.
You got to put like a
It'd
hammer.
work for Wax or like the Terminator.
Maybe one of those brutes who's like a ferrochemist who can get really big and buff. I bet.
Yeah, I almost thought that's what this guy was that was fighting him.
I think he is.
Well, there you go. Didn't work for him, or I guess he wasn't expecting it.
In fact, if I'm remembering right, I think that guy is a brute and a coin shot, sort of like a character that we met earlier in this book.
Yeah.
And so they pull up to a train station, and there's people out there protesting with signs that say "End Elendil oppression." And he's like, "What's that about?" "Hey, Steris, you know anything about this?" And she's over here reading a book. She's very intensely concentrating on her book. And when he tries to look, she jumps and snaps it closed. And he's like, "What are you reading?" "History of New Saran." You look shocked. Well, I don't know if you realize, but the name Saran has a very disturbing history. And everybody remember where Saran is from?
I actually do not.
No.
That was the Inquisitor base, the Convecticle of Saran.
Oh, that's right.
Why you would name a town after that is beyond me. But whatever.
Especially because it sounds like some bad stuff's going on there.
We built this town on the place where all the people we knew died 300 years ago.
And also, we're still doing possible hemalurgy evil here.
Built this city on rock. Okay, sorry.
Blood and bones. Maybe Marsh built this place, and then other people came and started living here, and he's like, "Hey, can you fuck off? This is meant to be my solitary place.
My place with the nice waterfalls and stuff. Like, why do you think I picked it?
You've taken my fortress of solitude."
He's
Turned
like,
into
"Get
a
out! I'm
fortress of community."
ironized, damn it!"
Maybe he still lives there. He's like got a little cave up in the waterfalls.
Marsh is the mayor.
Oh, that would be amazing. Like out here, everyone loves Iron Eyes. What are you talking about? He's the best.
Come meet Mayor Spikeface. Wait, what? He has spikes elsewhere, guys.
It seems so like they talk about it, but I'm just like, Wax, how out of touch are you? He's like, yeah, the people out there, they seem mad about Ellendale for some reason. And she's like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, they would be. He's like, what, just the taxation stuff? Like, we just tax them a little bit. And so the gist of it is that the outer cities get taxed to maintain the infrastructure, like the railways that connect all the cities in the basin, more or less. Not counting the roughs. Those, nobody cares about those, apparently. But as she talks about, not only are they taxed for that, all goods that travel through Ellendale get taxed. And the central government refuses to build railways between the outer cities so they can ship directly. Anything that they want to make and sell goes through Ellendale, even if it's then going to another city. So every single thing gets taxed as it goes through Ellendale. And they're not happy about that. Which, yeah, it's fair.
It also seems impractical. Like, I'm just looking at this map here. Yeah, so if you want to get stuff from Rashikin to, I don't know, Elmsdale, they don't have a straight line railway going from one to the other. You got to go all the way inland, to the coast to Ellendale and then back out again. It's like that's just time consuming. Like,
it's funny.
They need those supplies sooner.
That's the exact example that's used in the book. Is you want to take something from Elmsdale to Rashikin, you have to go
Is
to
it actually?
Ellendale. Yep.
God damn it! I just pulled two out of my.
Yeah. I think she's making your exact point. It's like it doesn't make sense specifically for those two towns to go through Ellendale.
Man, this fucking. Man, maybe this virus really is fucking with my head. I got COVID, by the way, listeners. Just FYI.
Yep, Dak and Jamie are sick, and yet they're still here making content for you.
Woo!
You can probably tell like that Jamie wasn't feeling real well. It comes across.
Yeah, sorry.
But she's trying real hard. She's here, and she's actually. I was worried that you were gonna like destroy your voice from what it sounded like, but you actually sound kind of better as you keep going. So I'm impressed at the dedication.
Thanks.
Well, it is morning for them, so her voice would have been,
Yeah.
probably disused.
So we have been up with the baby for many hours.
Oh yeah. Last night wasn't easy.
But so it's in part they even say it's because the trains mainly follow the canals because the canals were already there. They were there to begin with, and they can't control where those go, or the rivers, whatever you want to call them. So I get that, but there's no reason that you can't make extra lines connecting outside of that. And really, I think it's one of these all roads lead to Rome sort of things where it's like we maintain our importance by keeping ourselves the center of everything, by you always have to go through here. And so it's understandable that these cities are not super happy about that. And he's like, man, maybe I should pay more attention to this stuff. I assume that like I'm benefiting from these policies also. And Steris is like, dude, you live off of these policies. The stuff that your house makes would be undercut dramatically without all these taxes. So you voted for maintaining them twice and raising them once. He's like, wait, I have? And she's like, well, I mean, I did. You told me to see to the voting for your house. But as she points out, they also used it to try to maintain a centralized government for the basin so that all the cities have an interest in everybody staying together and not breaking apart into cities, like a million different little city states. Which, I mean, I guess arguably that's a good thing. It's better for everyone to be united and you're not having wars against each other or something. But at the same time, you're kind of shitting on all of the other cities to do that. So, and he's just like, she points out and he points out that he just gets like distracted and disinterested whenever house business comes up. Like he has trouble caring or wanting to be involved in all. He's like, I came back and did my duty to lead the house, but geez, all this stuff is boring. Although what he says, he's like, I just don't have the mind for this. And she's like, you do have the mind. It's not your mind, but what you mind that is the issue, which I thought was a really clever little. And Wax says, like Wax even thinks that's clever. He's like, Steris, you're a delight. How could anyone think you were dull? And when he says that she's not dull, she's like, well, what about when I asked you to help me review my list of preparations for the trip? And he's like, the list was 27 pages long.
This made me think of the episode of Friends where he's like, you had rambled on for 8 pages,
Front
front
and
and
back.
back.
Yep.
It's interesting you bring that up because another part of these chapters reminded me of Friends. Not that bit, but when he finds the book Steris has been reading, I just imagine Joey going, "This is porn!"
Yeah, no, I see that.
And he doesn't know what a vicar is. I think that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Where'd you
Joey.
find that word?
And so she made a 27-page list of stuff, and he's like, "How did you bring all that stuff?" She's like, "Oh, I didn't. I made a list of everything we might need, and that way, if we discover that we did need it, at least that I can feel good knowing that I thought we might."
So imagine you've gone on your holiday and you're going to go on a hike and you've forgotten your hiking boots. And then you're like, you know what, though? I did think about this. I did put it in my list. I didn't bring them. It doesn't help me now, but I feel better knowing that I thought about them and left them at home.
I don't know that would make me feel better, but I can see how it might make some people feel better.
That would make me feel worse. I'd be like, man, I thought about it. I should have packed them. I didn't. What an idiot.
Well, the amount of times I've left the house going, like, I thought to myself, I need to grab this before I leave the house, and 2 seconds later I'm out the front door in the car, and I have not
Without
taken
that
that
thing.
thing. And I'm just like, the fuck was I doing?
Yeah. Why did I do that to myself?
All the time, yep.
It was the reason I left the house.
And he's like, "But you brought all those boxes." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, that's all our house finances. We have an accountability report to prepare for the banks by next month." And he's like, "But we have accountants." And she's like, "Yeah, but that's their work. I get it. You can't just turn in someone else's work without making sure it was done right. Besides, they're 3 clips off in the quarter's financials. 3 clips out of how much money? 5 million. So, and I think that's 5 million boxings, not clips. And so, it sounds like there are 100 clips in a boxing. So he's like, they're 300ths of a boxing off out of 5 million. That's pretty good."
So, what, that's 3 cents out of $5 million?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So, yeah, I would be okay with that too.
I don't know about you guys, Richie Rich over here, but 3 cents matters to this guy.
And she's like, "Well, I mean, that is within the threshold, but it's sloppy is all. We have to look good." And he's already getting distracted again. She's like, "You're doing it again." And she's like, "Here, let me show you something," basically. And she gets up to grab something, and it's a little shady that the second her back is turned, he's like, "What was she so interested in?" And he like sneaks over and grabs her book that she was reading and clearly trying to hide from him. And it is anatomy sketches with descriptions explaining human reproduction. And she sees him and is staring at him horrified.
Fair.
Yeah. I think I'm going to throw up now. And now it's very awkward. And Wax is like, so yeah, I mean, I guess you don't have any experience in these matters. She's like, "I keep asking, but no one will explain it to me. They just like, you'll figure it out. The body knows what to do, but what if mine doesn't? What if I do it wrong?" And she even tried to interview some prostitutes. A trio of very nice young ladies. Met them for tea. But when they discovered who she was, they got weirdly protective and also wouldn't give her any details.
Why? At that point.
And Kat, stop, seriously. And she's like, they seem to think I was cute. What about being a spinster could possibly be cute? Do you realize I'm almost 30? And he's like, "Oh yeah, 1 foot in the grave, clearly."
Man, between this and Serene and Elantris, who's like, an old maid at 25, I'm like, there is something odd about this.
Yeah, well, in older societies, people are married younger. I get it.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, what was Juliet, like 14?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the being married younger, but there's also your responsibility to present an heir, which gets harder as you get older as well. So
True.
I kind of get the biological clock thing.
Fair.
And that's what she's saying. She's like, "I'm the one on a deadline to provide something useful here." And they kind of have this talk where, she's like, "Yeah, there's my money as well as the kids." And he's like, "Well, and I'm just the title, right? Like, it goes both ways." And then she's like, "Well, you can shoot things too. Murdering is very traditional. It goes all the way back." He's like, "Well, I mean, if we're talking tradition, then the imperial pair, it was the lady who did the murdering." Which, most of the time, yeah. I mean, Ellen, after he became a Mistborn, he killed plenty of, mostly Koloss, I guess.
Not with as much style as Vin.
It's true. It's hard to be as stylish as Vin. And Wax tries to make her feel better by being like, well, we don't have to be involved all that often once a child is provided. And then that makes her even sadder, which, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, not the right thing to say, bro.
And she's like, no, I mean, that's what our arrangement was. I wrote it after all. I know. And he's thinking about and talking about, like, what she's done for him these last few months and how awesome she's been. And he's like, I mean, what we are together doesn't have to be just what's in the contract. That doesn't have to set our bounds. And she's like, but that's the purpose of a contract, to define and set bounds.
I know you're reckless, Waxilium, but really, come on.
He's suggesting we bend the contract.
So hot.
Scandalo.
For her, maybe. I mean, it's like there's some forbidden, like, contract bending going on. Ooh.
Yeah.
Or maybe she'd have the opposite reaction. Like, no, we can't go outside the contract. I wrote that.
Contract bending, huh? Is that as cool as water bending or no?
No.
I don't think so.
That's where my mind went to, and I was like, yep, air bending, water bending, contract bending.
That's what they call lawyers in Republic City. Yeah.
Contract benders. The most dangerous of all.
Wax does
it's like soul bending.
Wax does a really weird metaphor about the chords and how the chords are like life, and he's like human nature to reach out and discover stuff, but the law has to keep us in check so that there's not like all these chords running and tangling up with each other.
Just a really awkward metaphor.
Yeah.
I think Gump needs to go back in the forest.
And then she's like, yeah, but what about like the chase? Aren't you interested in that? Which he is. And she's like, well, that's what these finances are like. There's a mystery here. Where did these 3 clips go? Isn't it, don't you want to figure it out? And he's just like, fine, I guess we can look. He's just going to humor her. Because, like, in large part, it seems like because she is so excited and, like, into this, he's like, okay, since this is something that she's really excited about, then I will, for her, get into this, even if I'm not really interested. And that's the end of that first chapter. Then we get our first bit of broadsheet, which in this case is the new, I think it's like New Ascendant or something. It is a new Saran broadsheet, it says. And we get Allomancer Jack presents Nikki Savage, Paranatural Detective, in the Constructs of Antiquity. So, in case anyone had...
So my version didn't have, like, it written out after. So
no, yeah, mine doesn't this time either.
So he's been demoted from Gentleman Jack back to Allomancer?
I don't know. Maybe only that one newspaper had the Gentleman Jack. But, and this is not even an Allomancer Jack adventure. This is Allomancer Jack presents somebody else's adventure. And it is Nikki Savage, who, in case anyone was wondering, pretty sure that is the same person as Nacelle Sauvage from the previous broadsheet. The lady in the broadsheet who found, like, the alien or whatever.
Oh, one I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, what do you mean who? You were just talking about this lady.
I don't remember the name.
Come on, Dick.
Jeez,
but
sorry.
Jen, we got Nikki Savage, who there's been talk about this, like they're based not necessarily based just off of this what we'll read in this broadsheet, but there's like it seems like from what Brandon said that this character may be supposed to be like Jack's protege or something, and so now she's an adventurer out there, doing whatever, and people have asked him if he'd ever let anyone else write a story in the Cosmere, because he's worked with some people and done like co-writing or whatever on some of his other series. Like he did some short stories for his Skyward sci-fi series where he wrote them with someone else. And they're like, would you ever let anyone write something in the Cosmere? And he's just like, the guy who's been with him a long time, who's done a lot of his illustrations, really good illustrator. He's done a lot of the pictures that we've seen, and he does the maps. So really, he is wanting to write a book that's like a Nikki Savage adventure, basically. And so that may be a thing that happens. And it's like, it's something about mummies. He said the name of it, and I have to look it up. Hold on.
Nikki Savage and the Case of the Howling Mummy.
Isaac Stewart. Nikki Savage. Let's see what it says.
So you say howling mummy, but I just sort of pictured a mummy screaming like those goats.
Yeah. Well, when I say howling mummy, the twist of it is it's actually a werewolf mummy.
Okay, so the book or the short story is tentatively titled "Boatload of Mummies."
Okay. I like mine better, but that's fine. Yeah. Write my own mummy book with blackjack and hookers.
But
I mean, I gotta say, I would 100% read a mummy story where it's like, oh my god, we've awakened this ancient curse, and the twist is it's actually a mummified werewolf, and everyone's like,
yeah, absolutely.
whoa, did not see that coming.
Yeah,
Maybe-
guys. I'm good at the ideas. Okay.
maybe if the Universal Monsters shared cinematic universe had ever happened,
Yeah.
then that would
Maybe,
have been So, okay. For Joe's benefit, I will go into some detail on the various broadsheet things since he couldn't read it. So, Nikki Savage's story, it says that when a thief steals a large map of New Saran, Miss Savage is on the case. The map's secret pocket contains her father's parting gift to her, the location of a tribe of metal beings, the Kalkis, long-lost creations of the Lord Ruler. Currently, the only one keeping our daring debutante from the secrets of the unknown constructs of antiquity is the magical burglar she calls the Haunted Man.
The Haunted Man.
And so we have her arriving at a gondola, and the Haunted Man is smiling at her with his freaky device when the door slams shut on the gondola and he's inside. And so she runs along and, digs out her trusty little bottle of chromium for a quick swig. So she has some misting powers related to what we're talking about. And then this part, by the way, this is part 2 of the adventure, the ghastly gondola. And we see a little more in the corner where it says the monks of Baz Kor had trained me well. Their practiced moves designed to get a leecher close enough to touch another Allomancer and drain them of their reserves. But it was the ballet lessons. Yeah, I know, they're just popping up, right? But it was the ballet lessons that enabled me to jump from the platform, and that's the end of that. So she trained with the monks of Baz Kor, but also took ballet lessons.
More monks and their secret teachings of psychoticsness.
There's a story about how a gondola broke down and stranded some passengers for a while. There's a play, the Den of the Survivor. A crew of freedom fighters rise up against oppression and overthrow a corrupt government. There's like a message.
So it sounds like, the Den of the Survivor. I mean, that sounds like a play about them overthrowing the Lord Ruler.
Mm-hmm. But they're like making really giant the letters where it's like rise up against oppression, overthrow a corrupt government. There's also a bit at the bottom that says drink to the health of Elendel, though, so that's good. And then we get what I think is a very interesting one where it's like Bilming's new, and cut off, quote, and then in quotes, amuse Elendel. So apparently the city of Bilming invited some Elendel elite out to see something. And in the harbor, there are a row of ships, a bunch of normal ships, but also these new warships developed by the mayor and the late Dr. Florin Mullen. Each ship carries 8 12-inch guns, with each turret having a range of 16 miles. Reinforced armored hulls, top speed of 24 miles an hour. We call them pewternauts. But the members of the Elendel delegation were like, what an amusing display of toys. Why do we need warships? The basin is alone on the land. From whom would we need protection? So, yeah, I wonder. Next chapter. Marisai is looking at some of the notes from Raylor, the Khandra, who's kind of crazy because of his lost spike. And there's an image of a monster. A burning red face, distorted mouth, horns, and spikes, black eyes. And there's a clip from a little interview, and Raylord just calls it the Beast. The Beast? It guarded the bracers? No, it was before. Fallen from the sky. The sky? The darkness above. It has no eyes. It looks at me. It's looking at me now. Further questioning was delayed for an hour as Raylor whimpered in the corner, inconsolable. All right. And then she pulls out the Lord Mistborn's book, and here she actually calls him Lustborns, in case there was any doubt about who it was.
Yeah, what a guy.
And interesting, because we were just talking in the last episode about the Lord Ruler getting all this knowledge of how, like, hemalurgy and stuff worked when he ascended or took the power from the Well of Ascension. And here, Spook is like, I mean, even the Lord Ruler had trouble getting this right. Like, his Koloss were awesome and everything, but they weren't perfect. And even like the Conjure are better, but they turn into piles of goop if they don't have spikes and can't reproduce on their own. So you can create lots of stuff with the hemalurgy by rewriting somebody's spiritual aspect, but it's kind of useless because there's a million ways to screw it up for every good result. So just stick to transferring powers. Trust me.
Yeah, just stick to killing people and stealing their stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this an extract? Sorry, is this an extract out of the book that Marsh gave?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's just like one of Spook's notebooks, isn't it?
Well, it seems to be he specifically wrote this little book about hemalurgy so that the practice wouldn't be forgotten.
Because I was just she makes a comment that it's so casual.
Yeah.
And I was reading it and I'm going, oh my God, why would you write a book like this? I hope the words are founding out like that.
Just very
jeering of the diary.
Yeah, at least it's not in High Imperial. There you go. I like he's still known as the survivor of the flames. They haven't forgotten that. The governor who ruled mankind in benevolence for a century. So,
You like that, huh? You like that he's still known as the survivor of the flames. You don't find it ridiculously ridiculous?
Hey, he survived some flames, okay?
Yeah, with Ruin's help.
But no,
Great job.
I find it more interesting that he apparently ruled for 100 years. Something going, and then
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like he hemalurgied himself from what I'm reading.
could be.
It sounds like he spiked himself up.
Yeah.
Sounds like he maybe experimented on a few things.
Oh my God, what if that's what he did to his harem of women?
Oh, God.
He even admits to having Breeze, the counselor of the gods, write most of his speeches for him. So all his famous quotes and stuff, not actually from him.
We
God,
definitely know Spook is not good at words.
He's just a big fat phony.
Yeah, he's just a
phony.
phony. It's annoying because it's like, they think he's so great. It's like, this is the guy that if you'd left him to his own devices, he would have just asked women why they were sad. That he knew why they were sad. He's the worst.
And apparently his suggestion was to get the elderly or terminally ill and then ask them to sacrifice themselves so that their power could be used by someone else.
Yeah, that's not messed up at all.
Wow.
This guy's a great guy.
This is not okay.
No.
Hey, so you know how like you're gonna die soon, right? What if we just speed up the process and steal your power? That'd be okay for you? I don't consent to this. What is it? Your compliance isn't a factor.
So you can't hear you shoving spike through your heart.
Yep.
This will probably hurt a lot.
Hope you have fun being dead. I'm gonna take your power now.
And so then she moves on to thinking, how am I going to find this spike? And so if there was an explosion, she's thinking, then the leftover like pieces would have looked still human. So they probably would have been like disposed of like any other corpse. So that's a lead. And then she hears Wayne, and Wayne is drinking some other people's wine and chatting. And she asks him, mooching wine? And he's like, nah, they're drinking bubbly. Can barely stand the stuff. I'm mooching accents. Got to get a feel for how the people in New Saran talk. And what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I just want to spread out. And she's like, you realize that we have a whole train car, right? That Wax rented for us. We got 6 rooms. And then the waiter shows up. And Wayne says liquor. And he's like, can you be more specific? And Wayne says lots of liquor. No bubbly. And then they have a discussion about, she's like, does it bother you being in his shadow, Wayne? And of course, I know he's been putting on weight, but he's not that fat. But seriously, Wayne is kind of like, sometimes it's easier when people aren't looking at me. Like, they can look at him, and then I get to, like, listen. And she's feeling a little, kind of a way about not being the Kandra's first choice. But also, people at the precinct assume that if she does something awesome, it must be because of his help. And Wayne's like, no, you're important. You help out a lot. Plus, you smell nice and not all bloody and stuff. Because she said that she feels like she's an appendage. And he's like, no, appendages don't smell nice. They're kind of gross. I cut one out of a fellow once. You mean an appendix? Sure. Wayne. And Wayne's just like, it comes down to it. He's like, you don't have to stay and hang out with us. In fact, I seem to remember Wax trying to get you to not be involved. And she's just like, I know, but I was thinking maybe this once I could do something important on my own. But if we do all this work and we get to conjure the spike back, they'll thank him anyway. And that's when we find out about the fella that Wayne knew, who he figured that he would take people on safaris, essentially, to see lions out in the roughs. Chip was his name. And basically, a lot of bad things happened to Chip. Him and his girlfriend got in a fight about the money he made.
Yep.
So
she stabbed him in the junk.
Stabs him in his holster, if you know what I mean. Constables find him. Says that you can't be killing no lions. There's a law about it, see? They're a national treasure. So then he goes to jail, he gets his fingers broken. And that's the end of his story. And she's like, what, that's it? Well, you want more to happen to the poor fellow? Right? Sadistic of you, Marisai. And his point is, sometimes when I'm feeling real bad, I think about that guy. I'm like, well, Wayne, at least you ain't as bad off as that guy. We're not gonna quote that. And then he winks at her, and she's just like, oh, jeez. Also, they packed in another one of those earrings she discovers in a little pouch among the other things, just in case, Waxillium. And she gets up, heads back to their private car, where she finds Wax and Steris crawling around, looking at papers on the floor and on the seats and everywhere else. And Wax is like, aha, I found it. He found the last of the 3 missing clips in the tips section. And Steris is like, you bastard. How'd you figure this out? And Marisai's like, holy, what? I've never heard her curse. And I love Wax's thing. It's like, Wayne would say it was because I'm brilliant. And Steris is like, Wayne has the mental capacity of a fruit fly.
Yeah.
And
You get him, Steris.
I mean, we know how mean he is to her, so it's all good.
I'm being genuine. I'm saying you get him.
No, I'm saying I agree because of that.
I mean, in fairness, like, she's got a point. The man said, like, asks, oh, what drink would you like? And he says liquor. And when asked to narrow down, he says lots of liquor. Like, that's not helping you. That's not helping the waiter. That's not helping anyone. How do you think this is a good idea?
Yeah. Well, I don't think I think he just doesn't care. It's not like a lack of intelligence thing. It's just like, yeah, I don't really care.
He just likes to mess with people.
Yeah.
It's not going to get him the right booze.
And
I mean, he got whiskey. I think he was happy with it.
So they try to explain to her what's going on, and she's just like, yeah, okay, I'm too tired for this shit. Take a look at these papers. Pay attention to the drawing of the monster. And here's that earring also. And so she walks back to her door, looks out the front window towards the rest of the train, which she's surprised to see is moving off into the distance. And she stares at that for a second until the door at the other end bursts open, and there's a guy standing there with a gun, and he fires it down the corridor. Which I guess we could have stopped there. That would have been a dramatic ending. I kind of like where we stopped better. But
yeah.
And we cut back to Steris, who's congratulates. Like, I think you have a real talent for this, Wax. And he stops paying attention because he's real good at sensing what's going on around him. He's like, wait, train slowing. The sounds of the engine are retreating. Doors opening. This is bad. And so he starts burning steel. And Steris is still talking, and he is already in motion as a bullet flies past in the hallway, and he slams it sideways against the wall, potentially saving Marisai's life there, so that's good. And so he goes out in the hallway, he pushes himself out off of that earring, he's like, damn Vendel, and shoots the surprised man in the forehead. Steris sticks her head out in the hallway, not the smartest move, but she'd rarely been in gunfights. And Wax is like, get her to cover, and then he sees the guys on horseback, and he's like, horses? Really? Okay. And he sees that this is not an attack on them because most of the horseback men are riding towards the rest or along with the rest of the train. So it's a full-blown robbery, not some sort of assault specifically on Wax. Which I don't know whether to be like, I guess that's lucky, or if it's the exact opposite of that, but whatever. He starts doing his stuff, killing some bad guys, and they're like, Alamancer, look out. And he pops back into the compartment where Marisai and Steris have gathered the servants and such into one room. And he tells them it's robbers. And Steris is like, really? Lord Waxillium, must you bring your hobbies with you everywhere you go? And so his theory is that the thieves recognized this one as a private car, so they disconnected it, assuming that it would be, somebody rich that they could plunder easily. And he's like, something's wrong. And Marisai's like, I mean, other than the people trying to kill us? And Steris is like, no. In my experience, that's normal. Just Steris has come a long way. And he says, no, it's that they're riding horses. Horseback train robberies are like out of magazines, like story magazines. Nobody actually does that. There's no reason to board a moving train and possibly die like falling off when you can just stop it.
So Red Dead Redemption is a lie?
They may not have had the tech to stop it as Alamancers, so.
I don't remember. I don't remember robbing a moving train I remember tying people
you
to the train
definitely
tracks.
do. No,
Oh,
you're
the event.
He's Red Dead 2, buddy. In the
Oh,
prologue,
okay,
you
yeah,
rob a
I
train.
didn't play much of Red Dead 2.
Oh, it's in the prologue. It's great.
Well,
Yeah.
then I must have played it because I did play the prologue. I just don't remember it, I guess.
And in fairness, the amount of times in that game I have spent riding around jumping from my horse onto a train. Oof. Longer than this book, I can tell you that.
Can confirm I've seen you do that.
It's so fun.
Here's where we were talking about. Wax gets out behind the train, increases his weight, pushes against the train while also pushing like the tracks in the ground behind him, and he just shoves the train. And then he starts kind of bouncing behind it and shoving it more and more until he gets up enough speed to reconnect it with the rest of the train, which is really impressive. He asks Marisai if she's seen Wayne, and she's like, he was in the dining car. It's like, okay, he'll be fighting already. And then she notes that he's worried, and Wax says, yeah, no masks. Robbers wear masks. Men who don't, they don't care if they're seen. They're already outlaws and don't have anything to lose. They'll kill more easily. Not to mention that apparently they've never tried to rob a train before, as far as he's concerned. So either they're desperate or someone put them up to this. So it could still be a sideways attack aimed at Wax. You don't think this attack is a coincidence. If it is, I'll eat Wayne's hat. And then he takes that shotgun that Renette sent and 2 of the cord sphere contraptions, and he gets her to provide a distraction. And so, as part of their plan, Marisai pops out, starts shooting a bunch to distract them, while Wax goes up and around into the air and then comes down like behind them while they're distracted by Marisai and shoots him up good, or wants to. The guy punches him in the gut, which we find out later, I believe, broke his metal vials that he has in his gun belt, so that's unfortunate. And he also notes that without some sort of mark to identify the bandits, he's going to have trouble telling them apart from all the regular people cowering around. Part of her distraction was putting one of his favorite hats out there to get shot up. That was a good little. And here's where he notices, talking to Marisai again after he's taken out the robbers, that he's out of metal. His metal vials are broken, and his extra ones are stored somewhere else. And Steris holds out a little vial of steel, and he's like, since when do you carry these? And she's like, about 6 months ago, I put one in my purse in case you needed it, and I carry 2 more because I'm neurotic. And then he downs it and nearly chokes. What the hell is this? Cod liver oil. Whiskey is bad for you, Lord Waxley. A wife must look out for her husband's health.
So I might have just forgotten. It's like, do they have to be preserved in like alcohol or some other strong substance like cod liver oil? Can they not just be in like water?
No, I think they can. I don't know for sure. I assumed that they could be in anything, but in the original Mistborn series, it was like some sort of alcohol solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe that does play a part. I don't know why, but
I would assume that maybe it keeps it clean. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I hadn't actually thought of that.
Because I would assume water sitting in a vial, even if it's sitting in a vial, if it's not sealed properly, it could still like get something in it that could make you sick.
Yeah, contaminate. Well, it's already got metal in it.
We've seen people like take metal basically dry, like when it was necessary. So it's not like to work it has to be suspended in something, but maybe long term, I don't know.
Yeah, just wondering if it's like a preservation sort of thing, like preserving the metal flakes. Like,
I don't know.
Can you get me that jar of pickled metal?
I honestly thought it was just to be more effective at getting the metal in easier to drink it on.
Maybe.
I think in the first book, when Wax explains that he uses whiskey for his, he's like, why not? Why waste a perfectly good opportunity to drink some whiskey? As he's progressing down the train, he sees some guys, hears some shots, and he notes that there's an armed bank guard looking at the guy's uniform. So there's a payroll shipment disguised as if it was regular cargo. Also, he smells something weird on the air, and he thinks formaldehyde. And so he busts in, shoots several of the robbers. They take cover. They're shooting back. There's an explosion. Another one for Steris' list of explosions that happen around him. It was a small blast as explosions went, but still. And so then they got the vault open with the explosion, and so they take the money and they're taking off. And he goes back for the wounded guard, and the wounded guard's like, the money. He's like, no, they got the money. It's not worth risking more lives over. They threw bottles through the windows, and then the doors were ripped off, steel doors. And he's like, oh, crap. The bandits have Metalborn too. Great. And this is where a hulking brute, almost 7 feet tall, comes his way. And he's wondering what's up with the train and why it's like continuing. Does the engineer not know, or is he hoping to get to the next town? Which I don't know why. I don't know that stopping is going to help you any more than anything else. So let's see. And then a little cube, as he's planning how to take down the brute, a little cube flies in the door. And he thinks it's going to explode, but then nothing happens. And that's when he realizes that he has no more metal. Somehow his steel reserves have vanished.
Yeah, so it makes it look as though, oh my god, what has this cube done to him? But really, it was like the guard that he was pressing on is just a plant who is also a leecher who has leached his metals.
Yeah, that is one piece of information that we got from the broadsheet, at least, is that she has these special moves that are supposed to get you close enough to touch someone and leech their metals. So you can't do it from far away, it sounds like. And we cut back to Marasai, who's shooting at the bandits who have come up again. I guess Wax went around them, or they came when he wasn't looking. And while she's shooting, Steris is in charge of reloading. And the valet... Druten is he says something, and she pulls out one of her earplugs, and she says, what? And he goes, are those earplugs? And she's like, what? Stupid ass question. What do you think? You just carry those with you? Steris does. Apparently, Steris had just pulled out a pair of earplugs for herself, and then handed a pair to Marasai also. So you expected this? And Marasai's like, yeah, more or less. This sort of thing happens often? And then she turns to Steris. I don't know. Would you say often, Steris? And this, of course, Steris has to pull an earplug out, too. The valet wants to know if this sort of thing happens to us often. Well, you more than me, Steris says. But when Lord Waxillium is around, things do tend to pop up.
It seems like a very Abbott and Costello bit. They're in the middle of a gunfight, and they're talking about the earplugs and everything. It's like, what was that?
It does. Now that you say that, that's fun. And I just love Steris' attitude here so much, where she's like, did you not inquire about your prospective master before entering his employ? And he's like, well, I mean, I knew that he was interested in the constabulary, but... And Steris just clicks her tongue disapprovingly, and Marasai's thinking, like, yeah, this guy didn't do his homework, which in Steris' eyes is like a dreadful sin. So
guess who's getting fired? So
just no one has any sympathy for this guy who is like, oh god, they're gonna kill us, like, what's going on? And they're like, did you really do no research? It's not our problem, dude. And he's like, is he gonna come back once he's finished with what? And Steris says, killing the rest of them, hopefully. And Marisyl's like, geez, she's kind of bloodthirsty. I mean, she hadn't quite been the same since her kidnapping 18 months back. Yeah, I can see how being kidnapped by those guys and the stuff that happened subsequent to that would give her little pity for robbers.
Was that, and, she's trying to be supportive to Wax, and this is what Wax does. So there you go.
She's like, yeah, just kill them all. Get it over with. Let's finish this up. Gunfights. I hadn't expected actual gunfights. Aren't the servants usually left out of such extravagances? And Marasai says most of the time. And then Steris goes, except when the house blew up. And, Marasai says, best not to mention that. And he's like, what? She's like, don't worry about it. And even Marasai's like, if the man couldn't do a little research before taking the job, I mean, geez. Wait, what exactly happened to Lord Ladrian's previous valet? Oh, now I want to know.
I was going to say, it's like, do we know?
I don't think we did.
Okay, because I know that in the last chapters, Hoyd got replaced by that other dude.
Right.
So Hoyd's clearly fucked off at some point, but...
Yeah, I didn't expect him to stick around long.
Well, no, but still.
And then there's the moment where a bandit walks up holding a woman hostage with like a gun to her head, and Marasai just pops him right in the forehead without hesitating. And the guy's like, Druten is like, you could have hit the woman. And Marasai's just like, no, statistics say. You know what? Shut up.
Is this like a once a book thing now? Marasai just pops someone and blows their brains all over the wall?
Right? I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
As long as it's supported by the statistics, then I'm good. I relate strongly to Marasai when it comes to following the statistics. That was a large part of my psych degree, involves statistical analysis.
I mean, I feel like she missed an opportunity to go, statistics say you should shut up. All the evidence points to kiss my ass.
And so she's Marisai goes down to look at the people. Somebody needs some medical attention, and she's like, I wonder if Steris brought some bandages or medical equipment. The chances are slim, but it was Steris, so who knew what she'd planned for? But when she gets back, Steris is gone. And the guy's like, the guy that she placed on guard there is like, oh yeah, she left a few minutes ago, moving up the train. She seemed very determined about something. And we cut back to Wax, who is like, what just happened? That's impossible. How could my metal reserves be gone? And he pulls out... I'm sorry. So he finds the giant bandit has stepped in between the cars, and the doors are rattling. And when Wax goes into the hallway and lifts his gun, it is pushed out of his fingers with a capital P push. So Wax knows now that there's a coin shot here, and so he has to get rid of his gun belt and other metal. There's breakaway buckles so that his gun belt can rip free. It's a good plan. And so Wax goes forward now with no metal, dodges the first punch, and punches the guy in the side. And it felt like punching a steel wall. That's unfortunate. It's been years since he'd gotten into a real fist fight, and he was slower than he'd once been. And like, it's like, geez, where's Wayne? This is not my deal. And he manages to hit the guy 3 times in the face, and the guy just smiles at him. And not only is he a coin shot, he's actually he's got a bubble similar to what Wax uses, where he's pushing around him. So he's kind of an advanced coin shot, since Wax is the only one that we've ever seen that could do something like that. And he's like, this guy could be using his Alamancy to just end me. But he wants a hand-to-hand fight. And as if to prove this fact, the guy raises his fist and nods to Wax like, yeah, let's go.
Ding, ding, motherfucker.
And so Wax does, it says, or thinks, to hell with that. And he turns and runs off and, like, pushes open a door and goes for the window. And the guy's like, hey!
That's my favorite part. The guy just keeps going like, hey, come back!
Hey, man, I nodded.
And, Wax thinks of a Wayne quote where he's like, you can beat anybody so long as you don't let them fight back properly. Which, really, it's absolutely the best move here when... Clearly, you are not going to win a fist fight against this guy. Don't have a fist fight against him. And he's wondering why this guy's even bothering to chase him. Like, they got what they wanted. They got the money and shit. Why is he coming after Wax? And then the guy pops up, and he's got one of Wax's gun belts in his hand, which is unfortunate. And the guy pulls out the shotgun. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't say that he's, like, a brute in terms of feruchemy. Wax just calls him a brute so often that I was thinking that was the case, but it's not like capital B brute.
Yeah, it doesn't explicitly say, but that's just kind of the general sense I got, because it's like he punches him and it doesn't do like anything.
Well, and he's so freaking huge.
Yeah, and it doesn't say he's like, Koloss blooded or gray looking or anything like that. It doesn't say like his skin looks weird or anything.
Yeah. So. Well, I think just in my brain, because brute is the term for those Faerings who can use strength. And he calls him a brute through the whole thing because he doesn't have a name for him. So I think in my mind, like, he was. And I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. He could just be a really giant guy who's good at fighting.
He just hits the gym.
Yeah. Don't skip arm day. But he fires the shotgun at Wax, and the kick takes him completely by surprise and rips the gun out of his fingers, which falls back between the cars. And while he's distracted, howling because his hand hurts now, Wax tackles him, but the guy manages to stop himself before he falls off the train. But what Wax was really after was the gun belt and the metal vial, which he desperately needs at this point. It's real tough to fight coin shot when you don't have your own coin shot ability to use back at him. But the other guy is not going to let this happen, so he starts pushing it so that Wax cannot get the vial to his mouth, basically. He's trying to get rid of it. And Wax is thinking, what can I do? Like, he's holding on to the train and trying to hold on to the vial, gun belt, and vial. And his arms are getting strained at the sockets because the guy's pushing against it so hard. And Wax is thinking, what can I do? What can I do? Is there some way I can use the devices? Yeah. Beneath him, the train starts to cross a bridge, and the thugs, now he calls him a thug. That's the first time he's done that, I think. The thug advances on him, rolling his shoulders, trying to make a fist despite his broken thumb. I just love this image. Like, he's like rolling his shoulders, he's getting his fist back up, like, okay, we're going to fist fight now, right? He really wants that. And that's when Wax sees somebody coming up from the back of the car there, the tip of the gun in the air, And at first he thinks Wayne. He's like, no, Wayne wouldn't have a gun. Maybe it's Marisai. And it is Steris. She gets up there. She's got the shotgun. And he's like, oh, no, this is not good. The guy turns, sees her, and she pulls the trigger. The shot goes wild, but it does clip him in the arm. So that's the brute in the arm, rather, which is good. And makes him release his push on Wax. But the kick sends her tumbling backwards and right off the side of the train. And that is where our chapter ends. Our section ends. So, yep.
If Steris dies, we riot.
So let's do the predicaments. What's going on? Is Steris going to make it? What's going to happen? And anything else you want to predig?
I think Steris is going to make it purely because I don't want her to not make it. That would really suck. She's got to have something. Are they still on the bridge?
Last we heard, they were over a bridge.
Yeah, so she could have clipped herself onto the side of the train or something. I don't know. And now swinging from the waist or something off the side of the train. I don't know, maybe. Because if they're on a bridge, she's probably got a better chance than, smacking into the ground or something. So I'm going to say she does survive for sure. I don't really know where we're going. I was sort of interested by the reminder of Spook's book about hemalurgy and what we've been talking about investiture and identity. I'm really concerned that Spook has been conducting some experiments in his time, given obviously what he knows about being able to transfer power. Also, the fact that he was asking people to give up their lives to create new spikes. I was like, ugh, it's not good, Spook. So I'm a bit concerned about what's going to happen there, but I reckon there's some more shady hemalurgy stuff going down. I think last time I was talking about maybe some new abilities coming out, maybe something different to hemalurgy, but I think I'm back to this book kind of focusing on the hemalurgy stuff. Yeah, I still keep thinking about the women that have been kidnapped, and I think it's probably less likely that they're being breeding from the women. I think they're probably trying to experiment on them.
Oh.
Yeah, because I feel like the set must know about this stuff. It can't be a secret. Too many people know about it, I think. And particularly that we're going to New Saran. Now that you've mentioned the conventicle of Saran, there has to be that knowledge somewhere here of all of that. So yeah, in terms of where the actual story is going, I'm not sure. But yeah, I guess that's kind of all I've really got at the moment. Concerns for Spook renewed. Yeah.
That's interesting. I hadn't even really thought about that. Yeah, I mean, the conventicle of Saran was all about the hemalurgy going on there, and I kind of hadn't connected those things, that we're going to New Saran and that hemalurgy may be involved. And it was, yeah, that's a good point. That could be some foreshadowing.
Yeah, look, I think that's that also sounds pretty sound. It's definitely there's definitely hemalurgic stuff going on in the background, and it's really making me uncomfortable. I don't want to know what Emperor Spook's aged care health plan was. It doesn't sound like it was anything fantastic.
His tagline could be, "I know why you're sad."
Oh no.
There's nothing good about this guy.
No, man, even after 3 books after we've stopped seeing him, and we're still just like, man, fuck this guy. He's just getting worse. I don't know. I don't have too much to expand on that. I am very suspicious of Druten, the new valet. I feel like he's getting an unusual amount of focus. Like the last time a member of Wax's staff had this much focus, he tried to poison, shoot, and blow them up. So I wonder if we've got another hired plant in our midst trying to just spy on them. Yeah, no, I think he's gonna have a decent part to play in the plot. Yeah, that was hard. And yeah, no, I don't trust him. And also Wax has a reputation for being destructive around. How the hell does he not get hired by the guy and not know that? Get hired by the guy and not know that. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So yeah, that guy's up to something.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I mean, just in the broadsheet we saw last time, Wax is definitely a name that people know, and that crazy shit happens around him. So yeah, you would think that this would be something potential employees would be aware of.
Well, we got a shady valet possibly. We've got shady lots of stuff.
Secret villain prediction number 2 from Dak, by the way. Sorry, I
Yeah,
wasn't thinking about
secret
that.
villain.
No,
Secret villain.
I mean, yes, but also like not primary antagonist. This guy's gonna like he'll be dead within like 6 chapters, I'm sure.
Yeah. He actually dies in the robbery right after this.
Maybe.
Maybe he also just happened to fall off the train at the same time as Steris lands on him, and so Steris is okay, but he was crushed, and he gasps out, "Oh no, Mr. Suit will not be happy."
Yeah, so Steris is like, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, I don't know. Other than the predictions I've already made, I don't know what's going to happen so far. We're kind of just on our way to New Saran at this point, specifically with these robbers. Obviously, they're after more than just money. There was something in that bank thing that they're hauling that appears to be heavy. My guess is it's some kind of weapon or high-tech thing that somebody is after that they're taking. And I kind of get the sense these guys don't care if they're seen. I'm getting the sense that they probably are with the set, and that these guys are possibly people that have been experimented on already and already given powers. Like the dude that fought Wax has like powers that weren't originally his, perhaps, like he was given these powers through hemalurgy or whatever. And I think that's a very big possibility, especially because he seemed to be carrying quite a few powers. Like if he was the leecher as well, then he's got leech powers, and he's got this ferochemy brute power, and he's a coin shot. Like it seems like there's probably too many powers going on here. And interesting to me that they were surprised that a Metalborn was there. So my thinking on that is they weren't sent for Wax specifically. Wax just happened to be there while they were stealing whatever it was they were stealing in this vault that is a weapon or something. So that's what I'm gonna go with as far as directly what's going on in the plot at this point. Because I think I've already kind of made predictions for what's going to happen in New Saran, so at least to an extent. But that's all I got right now.
Okay. So you don't agree with Wax that he's just like, there's no way this is a coincidence. I'll eat Wayne's hat. So you think he's gonna have to eat Wayne's hat, basically?
Yeah, I mean it's I think Wax is starting to figure out it's like it's not all about him. It's like he's there. Like why would they shout out Metalborn if they were surprised that he was there?
Sure.
Or if they weren't surprised he was there, I mean. So, you know.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense unless I guess they could have known he was there but not known which car he'd be in, so it could be
I mean, I guess.
Oh, there's Metalborn here.
I mean, the surprise of a metal. I mean, and they may have just been. It may not have even been surprise. It may have just been like, "Hey, Metalborn." But
yeah.
But like, it shouldn't be, because it really shouldn't be a surprise to them. Because I mean, there's enough people in the world that are Metalborn that it shouldn't be a huge surprise.
But that's a good point. It's definitely something you would want to call out because that would change your approach. So even if it wasn't a surprise, you're like, hey, everybody needs to be on alert that this is a thing.
Yeah, tactic. Hey, Metalborn can't do what we was gonna do so easily.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
I was saying what we was gonna do as like a thug. That's not actually how I talk. My grammar's not that bad.
Sure. It's like, no, I swear, I talk real good.
Dude, I got the best talking voices of all times. I love that. They used to talk about in Futurama how that one trucker guy, he just adds S's to everything he says.
Yep.
Whoas.
But then he takes the S off words that have it. Then he wants to go, whoas, cripe.
Whoas, cripe. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny to see his like progress because he was in like the second episode, and like he starts adding S's at some point, and then you get more and more S's, and then I think is when the S's start falling off. So it's like it's a weird progression.
I'm on loan from the Louvre.
If I wasn't lazy, I would. But you are lazy, right? Don't get me started. Okay. Good predicaments. Nothing. Not a whole lot of new, but we didn't get a whole lot of new information in this one. We got some more personal discussion and some action, but not a whole lot of info. So, let's see. We got no new emails, no new reviews or patrons, so that will not take up a lot of time at the end of this episode. Basically, for next time, we are reading 3 more chapters. That is chapters 8, 9, and 10. So come back next time for 3 more chapters.
Are you worried that people aren't going to come back next time?
Yeah.
Are there going to be listeners who get to these chapters of our podcast having hung in for over 100 episodes? It's like, yeah, I'm done.
You know what? Forget
I'm so
these
tired
guys.
of this. Yeah. But we are already 28% of the way through this book.
Yeah, these are shorties, but I like them.
Yeah.
So things are going. And so yeah, next time, some more interesting stuff. If you'd like to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. That's with an E on the end, Sanderlanche. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Somebody sent me a Facebook message the other day on our account asking for a link to the Discord. So sent them that. You can find us on Patreon. Forgot to mention that one. And just all over the place. Good stuff happening. I have just bought tickets for this year's Dragonsteel Minicon in Salt Lake City.
Ooh.
So that I'm not 100% sure I will go. They the ticket, you get a $10 discount for early bird. So I went ahead and bought it, but you can return and get your money back all the way up to like November 8th, and the convention's November 14th and 15th. So I was like, you know what? I want to try to go. I'll go ahead and get the tickets, and then if I can't, then we'll see. But so my plan now.
Where is it?
Salt Lake City.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it is Dragonsteel Minicon is like the Sanderson mini convention, just dedicated to all his stuff specifically. And so gonna try to make it this year. Last year was the first one they did, and I just couldn't do it last year. So I'm gonna try to make it this year.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll talk to the wife. Maybe we can, if you can go, maybe we'll make a trip out of it. And
yeah, I thought I was thinking about asking you. I didn't know if you would, if you guys would want to try to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe
there's
it'd
not going
be
to be
cool
anything
if we could meet up with some. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's not going to be anything too spoilerific there for Joe.
That was a thought that I had, and it's a good question. I can't say for sure.
I mean, I'll just run away. It's
Just
fine.
make him close his eyes. It's fine.
Yeah. Right, it'd be cool if Dana may not be into this, but I'd be willing to, like, if I could go, I'd be willing to meet up with listeners if they wanted to, like, hang out.
Yep, there was some talk about that in the Discord. Somebody's like, hey, after you guys finish, we need just like a Sanderlanche mini convention.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I was like, well,
Nice.
yeah, we'll have 5 people show up. It'll be great.
Look, I mean, I'm happy to meet you guys at a convention for Brandon, but I don't need a convention for me. I'm not that interesting.
But yeah, I have to look and see what all even happened last year. I mean, there's like some panels, there's discussions, there's exhibitors and stuff. So I do know that the final event, the second day of the convention in the evening, is the release party for the new Mistborn book. So
Oh, wow.
Because that's it. They scheduled it then because that's when it comes out. Last year it was his new Skyward series book that came out, and it was the big release event at the convention. So this year it'll be the Mistborn one. So that'll be fun.
Well, maybe I'll just go to non-Cosmere related stuff at the con if I go.
But also, since you guys may not have seen this sort of news, Brandon did make an announcement this week in his weekly update that the next Stormlight book, which was supposed to come out 2023, he's like will almost certainly be delayed till 2024. Partly because of stuff related to the 4 secret books, but he's like not as that part not as much as you would probably think, because most of the work there's already done. Mostly it is because of movie and / TV stuff that he can't talk about yet.
Ooh.
Wow.
And so the way he put it, this year is the year that Hollywood came knocking. So I bet I would bet money it has something to do with being the highly publicized, highest
the
ever
Kickstarter
in history. So
yeah, I mean, when you raise $45 million just purely from your fan base on Kickstarter, I would say Hollywood would pay attention to that.
So yeah, there's all sorts of theories going around. It's like, ooh, what is it? He said that he doesn't necessarily want to do Stormlight right away because he wants to be really involved in like the writing for he thinks that should be a TV show, and he wants like a Game of Thrones type of thing, and he really wants to be involved in the writing and things for that, but he doesn't feel like he's experienced enough in like writing that sort of thing to do that yet. So he wants to get more experience before diving into making that happen because he wants to do it right. So the theories are like, maybe it'll be Mistborn, maybe it'll be one of his other properties that's one of his non-Cosmere properties that have been hot, like the Skyward books. They've the sci-fi series that's gotten a lot of attention. He's got Legion, which almost became a TV show already. So there's all sorts of other things that it could be.
Yeah. Are the Skyward books off limits for us, or can we read those? Or
No, they're our schedule for reading is that the Cosmere books will be first, and then we will read all of the other stuff that he's done. So yes, still off limits. That would be spoiling for what we will be doing.
So we'll read them in like 10 years.
Yeah, we'll read them never.
Because I mean,
I'll read them in my grave. It's fine.
Because I mean, 100% it's going to take us like a year per Stormlight book each, surely. So.
Well, and there's been some talk about, even in the Discord, people like, that's going to be a lot of Stormlight in a row, and we might get a little tired of that, so it can be kind of intense. So it's like, maybe we will want to break that up a little bit and throw in some of that non-Cosmere stuff just to give us something else to do. But we'll see when we get there. We can that will be something that we as a group can discuss. And it's like, if we're getting to the end of the second Stormlight book and you're like, guys, we need a break, then we can do a break. We can do. I mean, the Skyward books are honestly about the same length as these books, so we could easily do like one or two of those and then not have taken a huge detour. But yeah, so that is the plan. I have everything currently released, all outlined, all pretty. Skyward's actually, I think, one of the very last things on the list. Sorry, now you got me distracted by my list, because we got Legion, which is actually Legion's a series of like novellas. There's like three short stories essentially, but really interesting stuff. Then there's Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians, which is a series of books that's real fun, written for like a young audience, but I think they're hilarious. The Reckoners, that's another one that's gotten some Hollywood attention. We could be seeing that, but that is very, and I don't want to spoil it, but the concept is very similar to The Boys, so I don't know that they would be making that right now.
Yeah. Although sometimes when a formula for something works, they do release something that's similar. But
it's true.
Yep. That's the way you get all these, like, what was it, after Jaws came out, they were all just like, we're going to do every single killer monster movie that we can think of.
Yeah. Or do you remember when there were like 2 mall cop movies at the same time?
I think that was just a weird coincidence, though.
Nah, I think it was like studio spy espionage type stuff.
Yeah, that's how we end up with like Deep Impact and Armageddon, is that like a studio hears that another studio is putting all this money into this concept, and they're like, we can rush out a similar movie first and like
beat them to the punch. Yeah.
I don't think it worked out well for Deep Impact, but still.
Yeah, Armageddon's way better.
And then sometimes you get Finding Nemo versus Shark Tale.
Oh man, Will Smith made a bad choice there.
What a terrible film.
Okay, sorry, we got off on a weird.
If you like Shark Tale, sorry, but you make bad decisions.
If you like Shark Tale, I'm sorry you like that movie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel bad that you have no taste.
Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you everybody for listening. 3 chapters for next time. Music by Miracle of Sound. And Wasing to the Time of Next. Colo?
Steam train running on a reckless rail, speeding right into the rising gale. Shuttle harder 'cause we're on your tail. London's bloody cry.